and nurturing them internally with pure yang internal energy. He traded physical destruction for devastating martial prowess. This was Zhu Peng's most unknown secret technique. In the 21st century martial arts circles, some had witnessed it. For all who had truly seen it were dead. Zhu Peng relied on his pure yang virgin body cultivation, guided by the pure yang swordsman, Zhang Yuanfang, allowing him to master this demonic martial art without damaging his foundation. A Huajin level grandmaster cultivates their martial power throughout their body, impervious to even a fly's landing, a feather's weight. Their entire body is a fist, unafraid of ordinary punches, kicks or blunt weapons. However, after mastering the green demon claw, Zhu Peng's pure yang internal energy masked any abnormalities. His hands and fingers appeared naturally slender, full, and soft, but in the heat of battle, unleashed suddenly, his hand strikes hard as they pierced vital points, not weapons, yet superior to them. Skilled Ming Jin assassins, those who kill Jin masters, are nothing special. Martial arts history is full of such examples, but Zhu Peng excelled at using Ming Jin to kill Huajin masters. This was terrifying beyond the usual understanding of martial arts. That's why in the 21st century martial arts world, Zhu Peng had the nickname Pure Yang Wuji, meaning the contemporary successor of the Pure Yang sect, a cultivator of Ming Jin with almost limitless combat strength without any ceiling. Now Zhu Peng's 5 fingers extended, snapping open, his ferocious claws, like iron hooks, descended, his body twisted, a low rumble rising from his waist up his neck, until his entire neck swelled and reddened. Then, with a roar like thunder from his throat, he unleashed his internal energy, a sound attack. A roar from Zhu Peng sent the middle-aged thief reeling. His mind went blank for a fraction of a second, enough time for Zhu Peng's demonic claws to descend. The tearing sounds were incessant. After a brief, brutal grapple, the man, who had until now shown incredible strength, let out a scream. His body covered in blood as he broke free and fled. The wounds were horrific, densely packed, less like claw marks and more like the legendary Chinese torture lingxi. He hadn't been able to escape before entering Zhu Peng's range, and now he certainly couldn't. A martial artist's close-quarters combat was a far cry from a long-distance run. Zhu Peng, a ghost behind him, pursued with rapid, measured steps, his fingers finding their mark on the man's back, with a puncture to the heart. The man's strength vanished. He collapsed, his momentum carrying him forward as Zhu Peng, a dark hand like a scythe, swept down. Swish, blood sprayed. He'd cut down Yao Bale's head, so Zhu Peng cut down this man's. My men, if they must die, I will do it myself. No one else will. The severed head rolled, finally coming to rest before Yao Bale's. Oh dear, what do we do? Ning Ning is failing. That damned Yao Bale! Only 2 days of good food, and this happens. He stole thing. But why did he stab Ning Ning? Inside the larger building in the girls' room, Hong Ying paced frantically, watching Dun Ning Ning's pale face. Ning Ning, already troubled, was now running a high fever despite prompt first aid and treatment for blood loss. This wouldn't be a major issue. A few antibiotics would suppress the virus. The problem was the lack of appropriate medicine, and the virus permeating this ruined city was far more than just a fever. No matter what, if she shows signs of zombification, it'll kill her. Hong Ying, stay away from her. If she turns and bites you, your constitution might not be strong enough to survive. Wang Lei sat by the door, a cleaver in his hand, trembling slightly. He was the mechanic, never facing zombies head-on. His bravado was more for show than courage, and it only frightened Hong Ying more. Wang, do you have any humanity left? A day as husband and wife is 100 days of kindness. You and Ning Ning have been together longer than a day, haven't you? Sheikah's like this, and you're not thinking of saving her, only of protecting yourself. Are you even a man? Wang Lei sat by the door, a cleaver in his hand. Hong Ying, with her short, ear-length hair, sat opposite him, protecting Dun Ning Ning behind her. She periodically got up to change the damp towel on Dun Ning Ning's forehead to lower her temperature, but the girl didn't notice. Just moments ago, Dun Ning Ning had swayed and risen, her long hair flowing. A ghastly pallor spread across the girl's usually delicate face. The cleaver clattered to the floor, falling from Wang Lei's trembling hand. He fell back, his finger pointing shakily towards Hong Ying's back. The shorter-haired girl glanced back swiftly, only to see Dun Ning Ning lunging at her with a ferocious expression. Ah! Hong Ying screamed, her right arm blocking Dun Ning Ning's attack. With a forceful push, she shoved the girl back and slammed the door shut with Wang Lei. I told you so! I told you so! If you'd let me chop her up earlier, none of this would have happened. Yeah, well, you were the one frozen with the knife in your hand. They bolted the door. The sounds of pounding from inside still echoing. Hong Ying and Wang Lei continued their bickering. Then a young voice cut through the air behind them. Chapter 1005 for a Shattered Nation. My resolve. Hell. Outside, the storm was breaking, the rain subsiding. Zhu Peng returned to the house, a large bag slung over his shoulder. He entered to find Wang Lei and Hong Ying struggling with the door, locked in a heated argument. Something's wrong with Dun Ning Ning. How long ago did the zombie virus start? At the sound of his voice, Hong Ying and Wang Lei both turned to see the young man removing his black raincoat. Both their faces lit up with relief. He was a true powerhouse with him here. Their lives were safe, master. Oh my god! I was terrified. Wang Li, speaking as he lunged towards Zhu Peng, was promptly kicked in the stomach, collapsing to his knees. Unlock the door. If the transformation just happened, she might still be saved. Hong Ying obediently unlocked the door. Inside, a young girl stood at the entrance, her long hair flowing, clad in pajamas and a gauze bandage around her waist. Her usually clean face, full of youthful collagen, was now contorted with bulging veins. The moment the door opened, she lunged at Zhu Peng. Of course, Zhu Peng easily subdued her. He produced a light blue card and, with a gentle tap, an alien-like creature materialized on the girl's back. The parasitic heart easily tore through the sleeping gown, its fleshy tendrils burrowing into Dun Ningning's snow-white, soft-back muscles. Zhu Peng released his hold on her. Whether she lived or died, even if she turned into a zombie, she would be powerless against the parasitic heart. I don't know if the boost to her constitution will help her survive the zombie virus, he said, but you two should stay away from her. This parasitic creature is an extremely rare species, I only have this one. He ran his hand across Dun Ningning's bare back. As his fingers brushed against the exposed part of the parasitic heart, he could clearly feel its joy. This was a sentience that neither the mutated mud nor the axe-wielding were-rats possessed. However, Zhu Peng would only contact it when it had a host. He knew that if he allowed it to parasitize him, his potential would explode, leading to astonishing combat strength. But unless it was a life or death situation, relying on its power was tantamount to suicide. 2 days after being parasitized, Dun Ningning recovered her health. To say she made a complete recovery isn't entirely accurate. More precisely, after undergoing partial zombification, she regained the ability to move freely, half human, half corpse, neither human nor corpse. Dun Ningning was now clear-headed and sharp. She seemed to remember Huang Ying's care and protection during her semi-conscious state. Already close to Huang Ying, she grew even more affectionate towards the short-haired girl. While her appearance remained unchanged, she was now incredibly strong. If necessary, her muscles could harden, and a crimson glint appeared in her normally beautiful black eyes. She was rational, and a rational zombie was 10 times stronger and more terrifying than its mindless counterparts. Her first act after gaining this power was to report to Zhu Peng. With his approval, she proceeded to beat Wang Lai mercilessly. She seemed to hate Wang Lai intensely. She would beat him for 30 minutes every hour, not seriously injuring him but inflicting constant pain. She'd dig her fingernails into his palms, tormenting him until he passed out 5 times in half a day. His mouth was gagged with his underwear. Zhu Peng ignored it all, turning the house into a matriarchal society. Wang Lai cooked, cleaned, and did laundry. He did nothing wrong yet was constantly beaten. A few times, he held a kitchen knife to his neck, only to be slapped back to reason by Dun Ningning. 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west. Back then, Yao Bail and Wang Li, along with Li Jingji, had bullied the 3 girls mercilessly. Now, Li Jingji and Yao Bail were dead, leaving Wang Li to suffer. His life was unbearable, yet he didn't dare to die. Sure, her limbs broken, her mind all but shattered, a plaything kept alive, had her neck twisted by Dun Ningning and then fed to the zombies. It was a small zombie, looking like a 5 or 6-year-old girl, with dark golden hair and blue eyes, like a doll. Zhu Peng seemed to have kept her as a pet near the entrance of the large house, regularly feeding her chunks of meat from salvage cans, perhaps due to the half-corpse aura emanating from Dun Ningning. The sated zombie showed no aggression towards her. Dun Ningning fashioned Xu Wei's clothes into various pretty little dresses for the girl, meticulously removing the maggots from her face. With the clothes and bandages concealing her wounds, the blonde girl resembled a somewhat vacant Western child. Only her appetite, 3 times that of an adult, and her exclusive diet of meat were unusual. Once fed, she showed no aggression even towards Huang Ying and Wang Lai. This might have been because Xu Yai's warm, fresh corpse, mixed with canned meat, temporarily satisfied her hunger for human flesh. Zhu Peng was well aware of everything happening in the house, including Dun Ningning's zombie doll. However, a bombshell announcement on the Adventurers Guild homepage had completely captured his attention. It halted even his ongoing data collection for summoning spirits. As for what was happening in the house, let them rot. I'm not planning to stay here long anyway. In a dimly lit room, a faint glow flickered. A Changhong Changdongli brand smartphone, held upright by its case, lay on the table. The horizontal screen displayed a scene like a Hollywood fantasy epic. Desolate icy plain, a black-blue behemoth, 3 to 5 stories tall, was ferociously slaughtering a group of exceptionally agile and powerful adventurers. The beast resembled a hybrid of crab and giant scorpion, its body encased in magically inscribed, incredibly strong exoskeleton. Despite its massive size, it moved with incredible speed and agility. Each swing of its massive claws shattered large chunks of ice and snow. Its scorpion tail swayed slight, condensing blue light. Even a glancing blow instantly froze the body and injected a potent poison. While not incurable, the venom acted so rapidly that almost no second-order potion could provide timely relief. This was Kadari, the ultimate boss of the Second Realm, a heavily armored lion scorpion. In the memories of the Dragon King, it was the apex predator of the Second Realm, capable of slaughtering any monster or adventurer with ease, banishing them to lower planes of existence. A terrifying being capable of triggering catastrophic events. Unless it was a high-level plane like the Wizarding World, even third-order beings in lower or mid-level planes stood little chance against it. One careless mistake, and they would be crushed and killed, leaving not a trace behind. Higher plane beings are often stronger than their lower plane counterparts of the same rank, thanks to inherited power, but lower plane beings of the same rank may have greater potential. Reaching the same rank requires them to endure far greater trials and tribulations. At this moment Kadari, the heavily armored lion, tiger, scorpion roared, spreading a palpable mist of icy blue magical energy. With his roar, the snow across the vast ice field was shaped by his formidable magic into a legion of countless ice creatures. Most were simplified, miniature versions of Kadari, but some were mutated with wings. All shared an astonishing number. Charging towards Kadari with an overwhelming force. Brother, with us guarding the four directions, you can act freely. A nearly 2-meter tall, heavily armored giant hummed, before charging north with his shield and hammer. The impact created visible shockwaves spreading out from him. Star Seaboard descends. 8. Direction tigers climb mountains. Explode. With a core of emerald green fire in his chest and a weapon of surrounding crimson battle cue, the giant formed a 4-5 tall tiger god like flaming phantom. The tiger god's power propelled him into the enemy throng like a burning cannonball. The intense heat of the flames violently collided with the oncoming legion of ice creatures, creating the most terrifying explosion of the entire battle. Every muscle and fiber of the giant's being was imbued with incredible, blazing battle ki, allowing him to cut through the myriad ice beasts as if they were nothing. A northern fire god descent. Intent on melting the icy plains, guarding the south was an apricot yellow-robed monk wielding a metal staff. His skin shimmered with a bronze-like metallic sheen, the outward manifestation of his mastery of the Shaolin iron shirt. As the icy horde surged towards him, the monk opened his eyes, shooting forth beams of solid gold light several inches long from his pupils. Shaolin's signature staff, the future illuminating Buddha's demon subduing technique. As the southern ice tide pressed closer, the golden white light around the apricot-robed monk intensified. Just as the ferocious beasts were about to reach his bald head, the monk leaped high into the air, radiating brilliant light. With the sound of scriptures faintly echoing in the surrounding space, reaching the apex of his jump, he fell like a falling sun, a shooting star, smashing to the ground. As the golden white light blazed once more amidst the icy blue beasts, a pillar of golden light spun in a 360-degree whirlwind, its powerful wind pulling back even the ice creatures already rushing toward the central battlefield. The exquisite Shaolin staff, propelled by powerful and formidable luminous ki, transformed in that instant into a colossal millstone crushing hundreds of meters, spinning rapidly and pulverizing nearby insects and beasts into a blizzard of icy dust. To the northeast, a pair of sword-wielding middle-aged men and a voluptuous woman stood guard. Liu Jinghong Li Jie, again known in the 21st century Chinese martial arts world as the Windstorm Sword Saint, was surrounded by howling gales, while the stunning woman beside him was enveloped in a pale blue aura. Ha Hai Tui Bogon Hai Tu Bai Gu belonged to the wind element. Chen Yuan Shui Huan Tu Nine Shu Hai to water. The two, wielding their swords in perfect harmony, controlled every strand of their ki with an unbelievable, unimaginable mastery of their bodies. Their swords clashed, wind bolstering water, water amplifying wind. The storm tide sword technique. The all-destroying sword wheel slash! The tidal wave strike. A colossal wave of ki erupted, forming a raging hurricane dragon that plunged into the sea, summoning wind and rain in a tumultuous display of power. Half of the countless ice beasts were effortlessly annihilated by this combined attack. After cultivating that, the four top-tier, Bodandon-level masters of the 21st century saw their combat power skyrocket, as if rockets were strapped to their backs, but they couldn't fly. And some winged survivors still managed to reach the crucial central battlefield. A handsome young man in his early 30s, wielding a sword and a knife, stood there, his legs a blur as he ran in a 360-degree circle around the central battlefield. The flying ice beasts were drawn to him, swooping down like hawks, aiming to tear his body apart and warm the icy plains with his hot blood. Sword and knife became one, wind and thunder roared through 9 heavens. His left hand wielded a swift sword, inheriting his uncle is Li Jie Nanking's windstorm swordsmanship. His right, a heavy thundered knife, inheriting his father's peerless blade techniques. Li Tulexie, considered a peerless prodigy, fought with a tempest of wind and thunder. His swordsmanship Exne's ruthless, his hardened chi honed through countless trials, bore the brunt of the wind and thunder's clash, unleashing boundless power. His sword and knife carved a devastating path, forming a layered net that sliced down the incoming ice insects like falling dumplings, preventing them from taking flight again. Compared to the explosive action on all sides, the man in a simple robe, carrying a broad, heavy cleaver in the center, amidst the frenzied attacks of the heavily armored lion, tiger, scorpion, Kudare Kadide Ru, his movements were godlike, shifting and flickering. Without drawing his blade, he easily parried all of Kudare's Kadro's attacks, powerful pincer strikes, stabbing kicks. Even the most cunning scorpion tail attacks were effortlessly avoided. This man, his face appearing barely older than 20, save for the slightly graying temples, occasionally lunged with a punch. These seemingly unremarkable blows, lacking any apparent force, effortlessly disrupted Kodare's offensive rhythm, forcing the behemoth into a chaotic retreat. Even so, in just 10 minutes, large swaths of its exoskeleton had crumbled and fallen. Is this the extent of the second realm's final boss? It utterly fails to inspire any sense of pressure. Humility and steady cultivation would be the ideal approach. But conflicts between my fellow countrymen and the indigenous people of the Witch Realm have been escalating. If we don't flex our muscles appropriately, countless of our people will suffer untold oppression. Over time, the heart and soul of our nation will crumble. Fang Xu and Xia are nearing their limits. Any further exertion will result in muscle strain. Therefore, coterie, your life will be the cornerstone in rebuilding our people's spiritual fortitude. Prepare to die. Heaven, earth, grand flood, fist, nation broke. My will, hell's journey. With a low growl, a despairing darkness spread from this man whose true age remained unreadable. Sorrow, agony, tragedy, death, every negative emotion was embodied in the inky darkness of his surging ki, as if man and blade were one. An unseen crimson like blood stained the thick, sheathless broadsword on Li Jingxuan's back. As if sentient, it soothed its master's pain, channeling an intensely fierce blade Q into the surrounding darkness. Dark Ki, fiery blade technique, man and blade as one. This was hell's journey, the ultimate Q cultivation technique honed by Li Jingxuan, the land immortal of the Chinese martial arts society. After painstakingly mastering 100 schools of Ki, my country is gone, the mountains and rivers shattered, my family is gone, my kin extinguished. I descend into hell to seek the lost China Huaxia, to find possibility in impossibility, to pursue the extreme in the unimaginable, even in the bottomless abyss. I shall raise my head and seek light and hope. Raising his broadsword high, the sorrow in Li Jingxuan's eyes was replaced by steely resolve. At this moment, the man possessed the blade's ferocity, and the blade the man's spirit. Darkness commanded the flames, but did not the flames also illuminate the light? Facing Li Jingxuan's raised blade coterie, the heavily armored lion tiger scorpion, the supposedly invincible boss formed of dark magic, roared, its icy blue magic surging forth, then with astonishing speed. But escape was impossible. The darkness and flame-wreathed blade descended, like a blazing black sun descending upon the world. Despair, hope, darkness, light, the tenacity of a desperate struggle against the cruelty of cold reality. Under the dominion of such an atmosphere, the massive demonic blade cleaved coterie, fleeing in two. Instantly, the immense black sun crushed the behemoth, and more, the unstable space of the second realm seemed to shatter. The originally formless space manifested as a translucent, molten glass-like swirling vortex. After several frantic rotations, it finally managed to engulf the dark sun unleashed by Li Jingxuan's full power. However, energy is after swallowing the dark sun, the space began to feed back, resembling a mirage. Before Li Jingxuan, a blurry giant city appeared, growing from small to large, from distant to near, finally breaking through the restraints of fractured, glass-like space and crashing into the video screen. The video then cut off. That night, Peng watched the relatively short video more than 20 times, only after his Changhong Changdongli phone could no longer hold out, displaying a low battery signal. Stand up, take out a power bank from his luggage, and connect it to his phone to charge it. Chapter Odu 55:1 reveals a city of Nanjing, even the abyss vomits. Li Jingxuan, the earthly immortal, was strong. But he didn't actually possess the exaggerated ability to shatter the void and cleave space. The death of each layer's final boss, the shattered corpse, the surging demonic primordial essence, would form a spatial gate leading to the next realm. Therefore, the spatial shattering in the video was a normal phenomenon. What was abnormal was Li Jingxuan's power, excessive relative to the dark second realm. His timing was also astonishing. The space, originally ripped open by a gash from the demonic primordial essence adhering to the dark contract, was torn wider by his single strike, creating an astonishingly large fissure. This seemed to have caused a city on the other side to be regurgitated back. This was similar to what Peng had read in those wuxia novels on Chidian Chinese network in the 21st century. Why did cultivators pursue ascension to higher realms? Because aside from being a personal achievement for the cultivator, it also provided immense nourishment and replenishment to the source world. Cultivators seek the Tao, encroaching upon the creations of heaven and earth, seizing the essence of all things. Every powerful cultivator occupies and consumes world resources equivalent to tens of millions of ordinary mortals. This process is essentially one of taking without giving. Once a cultivator ascends, due to the powerful pressure difference in spiritual energy between the human realm, the spirit realm, and the immortal realm, the upper realm would spew out massive amounts of spiritual primordial essence to nourish the world below. A reward for the world that birthed the ascended cultivator. Li Jingxuan in the video was in a similar situation. The energy released from his strike, while immense, wasn't overly exaggerated. However, due to the massive pressure difference between the second and third realms, his follow-up strike tore open a much larger spatial rift, ultimately disgorging a partially digested city from the bottomless abyss. To anthropomorphize the which possesses only a rudimentary consciousness, Li Jingxuan caught it off guard and essentially made it vomit. Peng had a hunch about the identity of the ejected city. It was likely Jinling, the city from which the residents of the large house had escaped. The abyssal city, situated in a demiplane, had been under the dominion of the wizarding world for several years after the apocalypse. It had been nearly 2 years since Peng had escaped the abyss with his classmates, while Li Jingji and the others seemed still to be mired in the post-apocalyptic environment. Only a city like Jinling, a 6th dynasty capital, a center of political and cultural significance, and a strategic military location, could have withstood the abyss digestion for so long. Any ordinary city would have been razed and its inhabitants annihilated 1,000,000 times over. The abyss consumption follows a pattern. It had just torn apart the earth plane, and was bound by a dark pact to a large demiplane. This meant it had barely swallowed Jinling. hadn't even chewed it before it was forced to regurgitate it. Had Jinling drifted deeper into the abyss, even Li Jingxuan, let alone the wizard Emperor Kasa, wouldn't have been able to retrieve it. A 6th dynasty capital, a dream. The setting sun weeps blood over Jinling. However, Peng wasn't particularly concerned with these details at the moment. He was completely overwhelmed by the sheer power demonstrated by this team, representing the peak of humanity's martial might. Peng couldn't see Li Jingxuan's effortless composure on the video, nor could he fathom the immortal's thoughts. He only witnessed the strength displayed by the Dan Realm warriors of the Chinese Martial Arts Association, and the ruthless, domineering efficiency with which Jingxuan's single strike instantly killed the Second Realm's final boss. Unbelievable! The Chinese Martial Arts Association had integrated martial arts and battle Q to this extent. How laughable and arrogant Master Mahu and I were, like frogs in a well, completely oblivious to the fact that Master Li, the Land Immortal, had far surpassed us, reaching such a powerful realm. I thought that as an older gentleman, his capacity for learning new things might be somewhat diminished, but it seems I was mistaken. Lost in thought, Peng murmured, leaning back in his chair. He replayed the video in his mind. The brutal fusion of Baguozhang and Flame Battle Ki, the staunch combination of Buddhist martial arts and light battle Ki, the boundless scale of the Feng Shui combined swordsmanship, the fierce power of interwoven swords, wind, thunder, and the terrifying aura emanating from the Hongquan were imbued with dark battle Q. Since the establishment of the Tiandui in the late Ming and early Qing dynasties, the Hongman has represented the Han Chinese resistance against the Qing dynasty and their oppression, even into the modern era. The Hongman's Chi Kung Tong in Honolulu has been one of the leading representatives of overseas Chinese power. Li Jingxuan, a venerable elder of the Hongman, known as the Land Immortal, witnessed the apocalyptic devastation, the encroaching darkness and the burning earth. The shock and torment he endured are unimaginable. However, while some crumble under suffering, others unleash terrifying power from the depths of their pain. Seeing Li Jingxuan's overwhelmingly powerful dark magic, the hellish walk, Peng felt no envy, jealousy, or hatred, but rather a burning shame on his face. If he remembered correctly, this old gentleman, though seemingly young, was nearly 100 years old. His mastery of martial arts had reached the god realm of Dan, Gang and Shen, transcending the void and invulnerable to divine attacks. As a Hongman elf, he maintained an aura of serenity and stillness, thus his ageless appearance. Now, with the abyss invading, and half the earth engulfed by the shadow of the sorcerer's world, this old man once again took up his great blade and returned to the front lines. The helplessness of his entire clan forced this elder to rise once more. It was like those times during the Japanese invasion when, as the city's young and strong fled, only an old man stood his ground, his great blade in hand, waiting for death. To read of this in the grand historical annals is to feel profound shame. Martial arts and battle kawaii, he had somehow forged a path, reached such a point. Alas, there's no turning back from the bow once it's drawn. Having chosen the path of martial arts, battle ki and sorcery, I can only continue on. Even if it leads to a brick wall, I will break it down. After the intense shame subsided, Peng gritted his teeth and exhaled deeply. He certainly didn't have the old man's unwavering resolve. Under the crushing weight of the sorcerer's world's infinite power, he had chosen to combine martial arts and sorcery. In the 21st century, this would be equivalent to a martial artist learning to use a gun and impure approach, almost guaranteeing an inability to reach the Dan realm. Fortunately, it's now the sorcerer's era. The inherent limitation of 100-year lifespan for humans has been completely erased. Even with his somewhat impure martial will, Peng, through 300 to 500 years of arduous cultivation, might still be able to glimpse the Dan Dao immortal realm, inheriting the complete legacy of the Wudang Pure Yang sect's 1,000-year-old arts. With these thoughts, Peng once again opened his Changhong smartphone, which was partially charged, but this time, he didn't watch the video he had almost memorized. Instead, he scrolled to the bottom of the screen, looking at the lines of Sorcerer's script comments. Mr. Li is mighty! The Grand Masters of the Chinese Martial Arts Association are mighty! Roar! 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 Yuren Yutian, my god! My god! My god! It feels like Li Jingxuan wasn't even using his full power. He's just playing around. How can such a monster exist among such a weak race as humans? It's unbelievable. Rice-topping no dishes, wow. That scared the crap out of me. How can humans be so ruthless? Aren't they generally very docile? My mom is downstairs whipping a lazy little human girl. I should probably go stop her. That girl is quite pretty though. Lie smile upstairs. Idiot. Top grade Rever Mountain 123 waiting for the third floor massacre. A human martial arts gym opened near my house recently. They seem to teach some kind of karate. The tuition for just martial arts is super cheap, and there's no master-disciple relationship. I plan to learn. Silver Warring States Requiem, where's your house located? Take me with you when you sign up! My house is also in Wizard City. Together chasing glory, the two upstairs are idiots. You haven't even distinguished between Chinese and Japanese humans. The people in the video are all Chinese, while the one who opened the martial arts gym near your house is Japanese. Yuren Yutian, in my opinion, the remaining Earthlings are all about the same. What's the difference between Chinese and Japanese people? Silver Warring States Requiem, forget it. Actually, what you learn at a karate dojo is more or less the same. The Japanese also learned their martial arts traditions from the Chinese, however. If you want to learn the authentic stuff, you know, Yuren Yutian technical question. Since I was little, I've cultivated the family's inherited flame-fighting spirit and have always been called a genius. Later, I was sent to a knight academy and was considered a top student. But why is the flame-fighting spirit of that human in this video so much stronger than mine? The witch world has only been saving the Earth demoplane for about 5 years. How did that BT who cultivates Starcy boiling flame god descent cultivate his fighting spirit to the second order strong in 5 years? Xuanhuan upstairs. You already have the answer because here's a BT. Cost replying to the technical post above. You actually asked the right person. I'm a human myself, but now I'm an apprentice to my mentor in the Transcendent Wizard Tower. I'm probably the only one who can answer your question accurately. What follows is a bit long, a combination of my mentors and my own perspectives. In normal multiverses, no matter how scarce magic is, it's at least a low magic environment. Meaning that wizard apprentices and first and second order wizards can still advance, unless their civilization's accumulation is insufficient. But Earth is very unusual. It's a unique void magic plane in the multiverse. The humans in this plane cannot evolve through self-cultivation, only through technological capabilities. But evolution is an instinctual need deep within the human genes of the multiverse, so the so-called martial arts came into being. It's a creation born from humanity's exploration of its potential under extreme, magic-devoid conditions. It's highly unmagical and impractical, even at the peak of the Dandao realm, equivalent to a third-order great witch in terms of cultivation level. Their power is far inferior to that of a formal first-order witch. In the Heavenly Witch Tower, a first-order witch with a complete inheritance and a core defensive field system can almost single-handedly wipe out all Dan realm martial artists on 21st century Earth. Note this is almost the outcome of real combat is incalculable. In short, only the magic-devoid environment of Earth could produce such a malformed cultivation method as national-style martial arts, which focuses solely on cultivation level and ignores power. They have no higher-level power to pursue, only the relentless pursuit of greater power control. Furthermore, their martial arts offer no advantage in terms of cultivation level until they reach the Bowden stage, far inferior to the robust practicality of similarly ranked fighting spirit. However, once Bowden is achieved, these Earth martial artists attain a cultivation level, and after cultivating fighting spirit compatible with themselves, reaching the third order is effortless, their power increasing exponentially. Additional note: my mentor mentioned that Mr. Xuanhuan reached the Shen level in the Dan, Gang and Shen cultivation realms. My mentor said that with 20 years, reaching the fourth order would be effortless for him, and he is the most likely candidate in the entire witch world within a century to break through to a fifth-order transcendent lifeform. If successful, he would truly be a god. Round bean. According to the above, wouldn't Earthlings possess extraordinary potential, merely lacking the right environment and a system for harnessing power? Wheel of Reincarnation. Responding to the above, as an Earth remnant, I'd love to explain it that way, but as a witch apprentice I must respect the date. In reality, among Earth's 6 billion people, the number of Dan realm masters at the peak of human physical development did not exceed 20, and those who, like Mr. Xuanhuan, reached the Dang and Shen, the Shen level of national-style martial arts, seemingly only Mr. Li himself. Special note: Earth national-style martial arts cultivation level classification: Ming Jin and Jin, Gang Jin, Shen. Round bean. The video of Liz, wielding both swords and knives, one of the top 5 masters of the Chinese Martial Arts Association, who hadn't reached Bowden, acting as Xuanhuan's eldest son, assisting in the battle and killing the second realm's gatekeeper boss, caused a sensation on the professional forum. The non-witch schools in which city who oppressed Earth remnants will be somewhat deterred by the video's release. The Earth martial arts schools established in Witch City and Abyss City can also benefit, but for the Heavenly Witch Tower, it's as insignificant as an ant shaking a tree, except for Xuanhuan, whose potential for becoming a fifth-order transcendent being offered a glimmer of hope to the powerful wizards. The remaining 20-odd Earth refugees at the Holding Breath realm, even if they all successfully advanced to the third order, were insignificant compared to the vast influence of the wizarding world spanning countless planes. 20-odd third-order wizards were laughably few. Any transcendent wizard in the Celestial Wizard Tower would have at least 50 third-order Grand Wizard disciples under them, a testament to their accumulated strength over countless years. What directly concerned Peng, however, was a message posted on the Professional Guild's homepage. Due to the death of Koda Rui, the heavily armored lion tiger, scorpion from the second realm, causing a space-time wormhole, the city of the Earth refugees appeared in the first realm. A massive tide of abyssal demons poured into the 5 dark realms, leading to increased demon strength, increased drop rates, and increased leveling efficiency for professionals over the next 2 years. Due to the influx of demons from the endless abyss, the dimensional portals to the 5 realms are temporarily closed. It is estimated that the portals will be stabilized within 6 months. Below this announcement were numerous comments from Earth refugees, along with a photograph. A wave of bizarre, demonic creatures, black as a tidal surge, charged swiftly towards a dilapidated city. The sky was filled with artillery fire and the spitting tongues of bullets. Countless men, clad in tattered grayish-green military uniforms, fought desperately against the ferocious demons behind makeshift fortifications. Behind them, countless civilians, weeping silently but maintaining order, retreated. A nation broken, mountains and rivers ravaged, crimson blood staining the land. Chapter 56 Die 1 Little pig, chubby and round, 2 little pigs snorting around the smooth, warm water of the hot spring caressed every inch of her skin, washing away the fatigue and stress accumulated over the past 2 months. The exquisite comfort caused a low moan to escape the silver-haired red-eyed beauty. After her bath, she dried her hair alone in her small room. She didn't bother to put on a bra. Wearing only pink panties, Yuan threw herself onto the soft bed. Wriggling happily, the girl's slender snow-white waist twisted and turned, causing her buttocks to jiggle, accentuating their curvaceousness. I'm getting lazier and lazier, just like that stupid pig. I've gained so much weight recently, thankfully. And the fat goes where it should. As a self-congratulatory act, the silver-haired, red-eyed elf girl picked up her phone and made 2 calls to Zhu Peng's number as per her daily routine. Why twice? Because the man said 2 was his lucky number. Calling twice a day was her lucky ritual. If both calls failed, her luck would start to decline, making further calls unnecessary, and it was time to do something else, this time. However, the goddess of fortune smiled upon the elf girl lying on the bed. With a beep, the call connected. Hey piggy, we back in Abyss City. We turned in the quest, got the reward, and old man Cole did the math. We made over 50,000 gold coins on this trip. That's around 10,000 each. Zhang Yuzhen, that broke loser, went completely bonkers. He practically rolled around on the ground. Having a teammate like that is so embarrassing. But I'm happy too. This is the first money I've earned entirely on my own merit. Oh, Uncle Lu decided to give the leftover to Dong Shu and Asuna. He said something about those who work together should share the spoils equally. And we shouldn't leave anyone out. I didn't quite understand it, but it sounded reasonable. Dong Shu's been with us longer, so she got a bit more. I'm holding on to yours. Piggy, are you still in Ruin City? I miss you a little. Dumb elf, do you ever take a breath? You just rattled off everything at once. I'm still in Ruin City. Had a little accident, but I'm safe. If I'm willing to pay the price, I can get out anytime. You know how many tricks I have up my sleeve. Looking out the window at the increasingly sparse but stronger and more agile zombie hordes below. Yao Bail and Zhu Peng have already cleared out 2 waves, but they're like water, constantly refilling the city's gaps. They seem to be getting smarter. If Zhu Peng and the others weren't hiding on the 5th floor, they would have been discovered by these creatures obsessed with human flesh. Well, you're so cunning, vicious, shameless, and scheming. I'm not worried about you, but hurry back. Meixiang is so disappointed without you. Bridget told me that for the past 2 months, Meixiang has been secretly crying or else playing League of Legends frantically. Apparently, the Soros family is holding a Silver Cup esports competition mainly for silver tier players, and Meixiang is dragging Bridget into intense training. She even invited me. Oh my god, Meixiang was just being polite. Don't go and ruin it for her. You ADC who builds tank items. From the other end of the phone came the spoiled yet gentle voice of the silver-haired, red-eyed elf. Every word was laced with a gentleness that could soften the hardest steel. They slowly chatted on the phone for over an hour, until an energy fluctuation cut off the signal. Zhu Peng knew that to make this call, Yuan probably had to dial repeatedly, so he never grew impatient once the call was connected. After the phone call disconnected, the phone screen returned to the homepage of the Professional Guild website. Below the announcement of the approaching magical tide was a photograph of a group of soldiers in grayish, black military uniforms, desperately holding back a horde of monsters assaulting the city. For the Chinese survivors in Abyss City, this single image conveyed a wealth of information. In the 21st century, perhaps due to coincidental circumstances, or perhaps due to the eruption of karmic forces accumulated over millennia, darkness invaded and the abyss descended. The entire earth plane was shrouded in endless darkness. Countless powerful nations that once held sway over the 21st century earth quickly disintegrated and perished. Whether it was the United States, boasting its technological superiority, or Russia, lauded as a fighting nation, they were rendered almost defenseless against the endless onslaught of monsters from the abyss. The pride of Earth's military might, the nuclear weapons supposedly capable of destroying the world, weapons with the power equivalent to forbidden spells in the wizarding world, were used extensively by the US and Russia. Ultimately, it was proven that nuclear weapons might destroy 21st century Earth civilization, but they couldn't destroy the Earth itself, much less shake the endless abyss that fed on the myriad worlds of the cosmos. The endless abyss was the chaotic primordial source of the countless planes and worlds in the universe. Launching all of Earth's nuclear warheads was merely like planting a few mushrooms in a negligible area relative to its entirety. The number of demons killed was uncertain, or rather, regardless of how many demons were killed, the endless abyss wouldn't care. Survival of the fittest. The strong prevail. 4th order and higher order demons wouldn't perish under nuclear bombardment, and the abyss had an endless supply of lower order demon hordes. While geographical advantages and luck played a role, the Steel Army and the colossal city that had withstood the abyss digestion for 2 years, remaining undigested, were for the time being only the People's Liberation Army and the city of Nanjing, China, Earth's #1 land army. Placing them at the top of the list seemed justified. Master! Master! Zhu Peng's door burst open and Huang Ying, her clothes disheveled and her face pale, stumbled in. She pointed outside, her eyes wide with terror. What happened? Why are you behaving so improperly? Zhu Peng exited the Professional Guild's homepage, stood up, and frowned slightly. These little ones are becoming increasingly unruly.
Master, the zombies! They can fly! You have to see this!
Half a minute later, Peng stood at the large living room window. Using Xuanhuan's long-range vision ability, he carefully observed the zombie horde below. While he could generally see them with the naked eye, Xuanhuan allowed for a much clearer and more detailed view. A powerfully built, incredibly tough zombie stood on a 3-story building not far away. 2 bat-like, featherless fleshy wings sprouted from its back. It was a mutated evolved mini-boss, but it wasn't the only winged zombie. The 3-story building was overrun with them, circling and gliding around the structure, occasionally attacking other zombies. They would snatch them from the air, fling them to the ground to smash into a pulp, then descend like vultures to feast on the flesh. Zombies could fly now. They couldn't fly very high yet, but wasn't it unsafe here? Wang Lai's voice cracked with a sob. He seemed even more distraught than the 2 girls beside him. The torment Dun Ningning had inflicted on him, coupled with the horrifying scene before them, had pushed Wang Li's already fragile nerves to the breaking point. 7 Endless Abyss. The tide of demons rises. The atmosphere within the large house was as gloomy and frigid as the icy water of an ancient well where corpses lay submerged. Peng stood by the living room window, observing for a long time before making a judgment. We can't stay here, he's echoing Wang Lai's words. They can't fly very high now, but they will as they evolve. What's more, the city's zombies are evolving. They now possess a degree of intelligence. Even if the winged zombies can't fly to the 5th floor anytime soon, there's no guarantee the ground-bound zombies won't find us. What if some of them have evolved a heightened sense of smell? He manipulated the metal gears on his number 1 unit. Switching to energy detection mode, he could see information invisible to ordinary people. A dark reddish-black cloud, like haze, was drifting towards them from the distant horizon, the manifestation of the Endless Abyss's magical tide. In a sense, it represented power and evolution. Peng's number 1 unit could only detect the denser parts of the magical tide. The thinner concentrations of abyssal demonic energy had likely spread throughout the 5 great realms, even permeating every breath Peng and the others took. So Dun Ningning's half-human, half-zombie state, seemingly coincidental, was actually the inevitable result of magical corruption. After observing for a while, Peng abruptly returned to the house, donned his heavy spear and battle axe and headed for the door. It was midday, when zombies were less active. A continuous downpour would have been ideal. The rain would interfere with the zombies' senses, allowing Peng to slip out of the ruined city alone within a day. As he was about to step out, Dun Ningning suddenly lunged forward and hugged his legs.
Master, you can't leave us!
Dun Ningning, though appearing delicate and frail, half-corpse, possessing strength far exceeding that of an ordinary man, caught off guard by her sudden embrace of his leg, Peng instinctively tried to shake her off, but failed. Of course, this was because he hadn't perceived her as an enemy. Otherwise, even an Iron Man would have been crippled. Master, we can wash your clothes, cook, make tea, and warm your bed, they pleaded. We'll do anything you ask, please don't abandon. Dun Ningning's delay allowed Huang Ying, the short-haired girl, to react. Tears welled in her eyes as she clung to Peng's other leg, rubbing her snow-white face against his groin like a cat, clinging to him like soft mud. Peng began. Wang Lai let out a shrill scream.
Master, please take me with you!
I can drive, I can fix cars, I can wash your clothes, cook, make tea, and warm your bed. Oh, and Li Jingji had me hide a modified bus in the underground parking garage. Am useful to you? Seeing Wang Li also lunging towards him, Peng slapped his hand out, producing a heavy metal spear. The ice and fire destroyer javelin shot out like a venomous dragon, its sharp point resting against the lecherous man's throat. You hid a car, but gasoline's useless now. What good is a car, master? You have 2 beautiful girls here. Why would you need him to warm your bed? Huang Ying asked, her face still rubbing against Peng until he pushed her head away. Damn it, I'm a practitioner of the virgin boy cultivation technique, and just trying to get by in this apocalypse is incredibly difficult. Never mind, it's a long story. I'm suffering inside, but I won't say it. Big boobs, no brains. Wang Li scoffed. Gasoline engines are useless. But does that mean gas engines are too? Think about how your meals have been cooked these past few days. Wang Lai was a little afraid of Dun Ningning, but not Huang Ying. The buxom girl was gentle, kind, and easy to talk to, unlike Dun Ningning, a former pampered darling who had fallen from grace and harbored deep resentment. In fact, Huang Ying had been subtly protecting Wang Lai. Otherwise, Dun Ningning would have crippled him. Wang Lai dared to argue with Huang Ying. But in a life-or-death situation he might save her. If Dun Ningning were in danger, however, he'd likely stab her in the back. The complex ecosystem within a single house in this apocalypse was 1,000 times more chaotic than 21st century office politics. Led by Wang Li, Peng, his arms held tightly by Dun Ningning and Huang Ying on either side, walked together into the underground parking garage. Here, broken vehicle parts were scattered everywhere, while in the center of the garage sat a heavily modified bus, almost to the point of resembling a transformer. Master, I single-handedly modified this KNG Engago from top to bottom. It even has 2 separate gas-powered systems. Multiple layers of protection, absolute safety guaranteed. Wang Li, acting like a sycophant guiding a superior officer, bowed and scraped as he walked ahead. Even Peng had to reassess Wang Lai after seeing this heavily armored bus. No wonder Li Jingji had always been kind to him. This kid was clearly a skilled technician with impressive capabilities. The front of the bus was a metal triangle drill bit, with dual gas-powered engines in the middle and rear. The entire body was reinforced with extra thick metal plating, and the chassis was heavily weighted, making it impossible for even 100 zombies to push or overturn it. In the martial arts world, this would be akin to having solid foundational skills and an impeccable Xuanhuan stance. Wow, there's a ton of instant ramen in here. Wang Lai, you sly dog, you kept this quiet. Huh. Dun Ningning found a considerable supply of storable food and purified water hidden in the bus. Many of the food packages were marked with military supplies, seemingly the loot Li Jingji and his group had stolen before escaping Nanjing. Dun Ningning's beautiful eyes narrowed. Wang Li, like a mouse seeing a cat, instantly cowered behind Zhu Peng, his fear an instinctive reaction. Seeing Zhu Peng remain silent, Dun Ningning didn't dare make a move. She merely glared fiercely at Wang Li, the threat implicit in her gaze. Wang Li, with a modified vehicle like this, you could drive away from ordinary zombies, right? You managed to keep this secret for so long. Why not just keep it hidden, master? In this apocalypse, people are more terrifying than zombies. With the Kwang Jibo, ordinary zombies are no match for me. But I have to stop eventually. I can't drive 24 hours a day. If I encounter a group of people, I can protect the vehicle, the food, or my life alone. And it seems that due to the environmental changes since the Dark Invasion, the mechanical failure rate in the apocalypse is astonishingly high. A good car might last a year or two in the 21st century without problems. But in the apocalypse, breaking down 2 or 3 times in 10 to 15 days is perfectly normal. Without a heroic figure like you to protect us, people like us can't keep anything, let alone our lives. Wang Li's flattery was incessant, but his meaning was, he said, in this apocalypse, it's incredibly difficult for ordinary people to survive without relying on a stronger force. Chapter 058 Unforeseen Assassination, Dark God. Zhu Peng managed to convince the three that he had no intention of abandoning them, merely going out to scout the zombie distribution to plan their escape route. To Zhu Peng, this was self-evident, carrying a javelin and weapons, with no supply. Where could he possibly go? His bag and notes were still in the house, however. Zhu Peng understood their suspicion. He was like a large piece of driftwood from a sunken ship, and in this icy sea of the apocalypse, those desperate to survive would cling to him tightly, unwilling to relax for a moment. In this abyssal apocalypse, most people poured everything they had just to stay alive, using a 3-story building as a fortress. The winged zombies were predators among the city's undead. Their strength wasn't significantly greater than other zombies, but simply having wings allowed them to attack and retreat, making them almost invincible. It was midday. The massive light sphere of the Dragon King's seal shone like a blazing sun, radiating immense light and heat. For all the zombies, this was like midnight for humans. Unless they smelled fresh flesh or sensed a human, they mostly hid in the shadows of buildings. Conserving their energy, Zhu Peng had applied a potion and closed his pores with internal martial arts, a kind of breath-holding state. He couldn't maintain it for long, but he had to kill the nearby minor boss zombies. Otherwise, with them leading, even the formidable King Kong, which had cost Wang Lai so much effort, might not be able to escape the ruined city. Zhu Peng eliminated them one by one. The resulting chaos in the territory would create a window of opportunity for the people in the large building to make their escape. A gap in time before new minor bosses spawned. He launched a javelin with a metal chain attached to the end. Zhu Peng swung across, like Tarzan. Landing on the roof of the 3-story building, he moved through the brightest, yet relatively hidden, crevices. Had recently watched many stealth videos by rogue-type professionals and even paid to subscribe to Agile Side Old Thief's advanced stealth tutorial, benefiting greatly. Of course, the tutorial was exorbitantly priced. Fortune. Zhu Peng was a self-created professional recognized by the Professional Guild, enjoying a 50% discount on all professions. Otherwise, a knight would have to pay double the subscription fee to learn rogue stealth skills. Most professionals simply couldn't afford cross-professional skill learning. They often only learned about other professions' skills in the most brutal life or death struggles. Peering through the window of the large house, rows of relatively slender and small zombie bats hung upside down in the darkness of the room. The closer to the well-lit perimeter, the more withered and frail the hanging winged zombies appeared. In the center of the room, shrouded in a hazy, pale black mist, hung a winged zombie with a physique like a fitness coach. Its wings were larger and thicker than those of its brethren, with bony horns faintly emerging from its forehead. Zhu Peng even saw dense demonic runes on its fleshy wings, indicating it possessed spellcasting abilities. With astonishing sensitivity, it detected the lurking killer's intent. The hanging winged zombie boss suddenly opened its eyes. Apart from the pair of wings on its back and the nascent horns on its forehead, its appearance resembled a strong Western human. However, the moment its eyes opened, everything changed. The winged zombie boss eyes were a blood red, devoid of whites. Meeting its gaze, an inexplicable fear surged within. For an ordinary person, this gaze alone would be enough to cause a mental breakdown. However, Zhu Peng smiled at it. Fear magic, a classic spell used by abyssal creatures to slaughter humans, cast on a group of untrained ordinary humans. If enough fail the willpower check, they'll likely trample each other to death more than the demons would kill them. The problem is that this spell is too effective and too common. 2 years ago, when Peng charged from the abyss-engulfed university town to the abyss city with his classmates, nearly 1 in 10 of the monsters encountered had this ability. Any prepared ordinary person has a decent chance of resisting it, at least a lower-level fear spell. Peng's warm and sunny smile caused the boss to pause, but the next moment, a heavy metal javelin wrapped in ice and fire pierced towards its face. The javelin missed, slicing past the winged zombie, directly blasting another small fry into a scattering spray of ice and fire. Its eyes cast a constant fear spell, its body a darkness spell that distorts vision. It might have a speed-enhancing spell at most, more likely none. A small boss carrying 2 or 3 innate spells is generally its limit. The small boss loosened its legs and fell from its inverted position. With surprising intelligence, it spread its wings and fled toward the window, while its subordinates, regaining consciousness, shrieked and lunged at Peng. In an instant the 3-story building, like a nest, came alive, hundreds or thousands of winged zombies awakening, regardless of whether they could tear Peng apart. At this moment, within the 3rd-floor building, Peng was the one slaughtering. He pressed a thick pouch on his back, and pale blue demonic runes flickered with a magnificent light. Quiver of returning javelins imbued with a returning javelin spell, usable twice daily. Effect lasts 10 minutes. The fleshy winged zombie boss flapped its wings, taking flying. Legs a blur, ran parallel, his pace surprisingly matching the boss in the chaotic confines of the room, having honed his body and empowered himself with the strength of a demonic bear. Peng was a human war machine, plowing through hordes of fleshy winged zombies, sending them sprawling in a flurry of collisions. His legs a whirlwind, Peng spun like a top, hurling heavy metal javelins in rapid succession. The sheer weight of the weapons generated a deafening roar as they cleaved through the air. Whoosh! Whoosh! These golden quality javelins, crackling with interwoven red and blue magic, carried immense force. Impacting the fleshy wimbies, creatures agile in flight but lacking in raw strength, was like skewering them on a barbecue spit. 1 javelin, 1 zombie, repeatedly, a whirlwind of motion. Peng unleashed 27 jab, each throw imbued with his full strength. Each javelin, after piercing through multiple bodies, exploded in a burst of blue light upon impact, returning to the quiver for reuse. The room was a maelstrom of flying zombies, some crippled by Peng's brutal charge, others reduced to scattered fragments of ice and fire. Coins and equipment rained down from the carnage, but Peng ignored them, his gaze fixed on the fleshy winged zombie boss, shrouded in a distorting darkness spell. If the boss escaped, commanding thousands of zombies, even Peng would face insurmountable odds, potentially trapped and overwhelmed in the ruins of the city. With a potent restorative potion still unused, Peng felt confident he could escape, a second wind guaranteeing his survival. This calculated risk, this daring raid into the monster's lair, was possible because he had the means to recover. Yet manageable. Peng's storm of javelins continued. The powerful fleshy winged zombie boss, though tough, took several hits, but the boss hide was far thicker than its minions. The enchanted javelins, while capable of instantly killing ordinary zombies, wouldn't bring down the boss in less than 10 hits. Combined with the visual distortion of the darkness spell, Peng occasionally missed. Fortunately, even missed throws often skewered a string of zombies in the chaos. With a mighty beat of its magically inscribed wings, the boss suddenly accelerated, breaking through the window and into the open sky, a bird soaring free. Meanwhile, Dun Ningong Ying and Wang Lai were observing their surroundings from the large window. Peng said he was going to attack the mini-boss and clear the escape route. Though they believed him, they still felt it was safer to see it with their own eyes. There it is! Huang Ying, with her sharp eyes, spotted the usually calm meat-winged zombie nest in chaos. Countless meat-winged zombies, clearly uncomfortable under the bright incandescent light, were flying wildly around the nest, looking like a swarm of agitated bees. He wouldn't have gone there, would he? Dun Ningning muttered. If he can't win, they can fly and he won't even be able to escape. Just then, a mini-boss, shrouded in dark grey aura noticeably stronger than the other meat-winged zombies, smashed through the blackout shutters and burst out of the window. However, this seemed to be its limit. It was battered and bruised, with a heavy metal spear embedded in its left wing. It crashed towards the ground in a gliding fall. A heavy spear attached to a metal chain was thrown upwards from the window it had burst through. A moment later, Peng, one hand gripping the metal chain, swung in an arc, while his other hand formed a claw, aiming straight for the gliding mini-boss. From their vantage point on the 5th floor, the three watched as Peng dragged the noticeably stronger meat-winged zombie away at high speed. As the creature neared the ground, Peng forced it down, its bloody flesh leaving a long trail of gore on the cement. Whoa, this is even more explosive than a Hollywood blockbuster. Our master is so amazing! Hong Ying clasped her hands to her chest, her peach blossom eyes practically sparkling with pink hearts. Yeah, with a man like him protecting us, we'll definitely survive, Wang Li added, his voice filled with excitement as he watched Peng safely retreat after severely injuring the mini-boss. At that moment, a grotesque, alien-like mass clung to Wang Li's chest, parasitic heart capable of granting ordinary people the strength of a second heart. Initially, it acted as a second heart, regulating the body's internal functions. As the parasitism once it completely replaced the host's heart, it meant that the host's potential had been completely drained. When the parasitic heart first parasitized Yobale, Its combined attribute value dropped from 26 to 25, an initial investment. A trigger to unleash the host's full potential. By the time Yao Bale's potential was fully exhausted, and Zhu Peng retrieved it, the parasitic heart card's attribute value had risen from 25 to 28, though it hadn't evolved. Its power increased repeatedly by absorbing the life essence of its host. Perhaps because of its arduous birth, this parasitic heart possessed a startling will to survive and a strange sentience, a card Zhu Peng found incredibly convenient yet rather daunting. It had now, as per Zhu Peng's instructions, implanted primers in Dun Ningning and Wang Li, causing the parasitic heart's overall attribute value to decrease by 3 points. 2 points were consumed in Dun Ningning, and 1 in Wang Li. If they continued to burn through the enhanced states granted by the parasitic heart, the investment would be recouped with interest in no time. However, Zhu Peng didn't tell Dun Ningning and Wang Li this, so they remained unaware at that moment. As their somatic cells continuously divided and their latent bodily energy surged, Wang Li, gazing at the powerfully bulging muscles on his body, felt a profound joy at being acknowledged by his master and possessing such strength. Zhu Peng did inform him that this rapid acquisition of power would cost him 10 to 20 years of his lifespan, but Wang Li didn't care in the apocalypse. Surviving this year was more important than the 10 to 20 years out of a 70 or 80-year lifespan. Wang Li was only in his early 30s, the debt would only be due in 2 or 3 decades, a prospect that held no concern for him at present. After adjusting Wang Li's physical functions by consuming energy, the alien-like creature seemed fatigued. It secreted a larger amount of viscous fluid from its surface, its body shrinking as if dehydrated. Zhu Peng dragged the half-dead winged zombie into a distant building, disappearing from view. Dun Ningning turned her attention to the parasitic heart. Observing its weakened state, she frowned slightly and said, "Xiaoying, retrieve Dark God for me." "It looks sticky and burrows into flesh," replied Huang Ying, though reluctantly. It was Dun Ningning's request, but the parasitic heart, covered in sticky, slimy, and pungent fluid, was something no normal girl would like. Even Wang Li felt a shiver run down his spine with it clinging to his chest. This thing, though seemingly harmless so far, didn't look benevolent in the slightest. Its icy chill reminded Wang Li of the deceased man, Li Jingji. Chapter 059 Awakening of Abilities, A New Beginning. "Retrieve Dark God for me, it will make me stronger," Dun Ningning said without turning her head, her gaze fixed on the window where Zhu Peng had dragged the winged zombie inside. "Oh, alright," Huang Ying replied, somewhat unwillingly, before walking towards Wang Li. "Hey, Ningning Jay asked me to get this back for her." The pretty girl with short hair pointed to the alien flesh on Wang Li's chest. Wang Li was still somewhat afraid of Dun Ningning. Although he had gained some power, he knew very well that he was far from being a match for her in her semi-corpse state. This woman possessed a ruthless streak. When their physical strength was comparable, he couldn't beat her. Though Dun Ningning couldn't harm him under her master's orders, seeing her unwillingness to even glance at him, Wang Li knew her resentment remained. She kept her distance, fearing she couldn't suppress her anger and disobey Zhu Peng's departing instructions. Wang Li was a specialist in car maintenance and repair. Zhu Peng could allow Dun Ningning to torture him to death. He stroked the alien spine on his chest twice, feeling it relax gradually. He carefully pulled the parasitic heart from his chest and handed it to Huang Ying. The short-haired girl, suppressing her disgust, carefully held the slimy mass and brought it to Dun Ningning. Dun Ningning expressionlessly unbuttoned her shirt, revealing several horrifying wounds on her back. The Dark God parasite, depending on its location, provided different enhancements. Wang Li and Yao Bai Li, both parasitized in the chest, gained greater physical strength but also suffered faster deterioration. Zhu Peng placed Dun Ningning's parasitic heart on her back, primarily enhancing her immunity and body coordination. The lower back contains many vital organs and is a crucial nexus for the body's strength. Zhu Peng, knowledgeable in both martial arts and medicine, understood this, otherwise, he wouldn't have placed it there. Unexpectedly, it brought about a stunning improvement for Dun Ningning. Dun Ningning had been parasitized earlier than Wang Li, and she was also more intelligent. She could already use the superpowers granted by the parasitic heart. Just the super state and demon's roar abilities alone were extremely useful for ordinary people. Whoever was parasitized by the Dark God could use these abilities. Although Wang Li's bodily functions had been adjusted, he lacked these powers. He didn't even know the parasitic heart could grant abilities to others. She unbuttoned her shirt, but the feeling of combined strength didn't come. Dun Ningning suddenly heard Huang Ying scream behind her. The girl turned sharply to see the Dark God latching onto Huang Ying's neck and shoulder, its fleshy tendrils piercing the short-haired girl's muscles, completing the parasitism. This was its first predation outside of Zhu Peng's orders. Yao Bai's instance could be considered a subconsciously approved protective action by Zhu Peng, but this time, it was entirely of its own volition, a surprising survival instinct. Shattered glass crunched underfoot. Zhu Peng straddled the fleshwing zombie boss, his leather-gloved fists ablur as he pummeled the creature, relentlessly suppressing its resistance. Under the barrage of blows, the boss struggle weakened. Seizing the opportunity, Zhu Peng swiftly drew a jet black, serpentine dagger strapped to his leg, plunging it into the creature's undefended heart. As the heart pumped blood throughout its body, the poison on the blade spread. The jet black serpentine dagger, enchantment life drain, Strength boost status poison. This wasn't equipment manifested by the Dark Dragon King's power in accordance with a Dark Pact. It was a witch-crafted artifact made by a wizard apprentice. While lacking the blue or gold item ranks, it was, in terms of quality, at least a top-tier practical blue-grade item. As the poison took effect, the fleshwing zombie boss began to decay, emitting faint particles of light. Peng finally overturned the corpse, finding a short sword, some gold coins, and a milky white stone radiating a faint glow beneath it. There was no time for examination. The flapping of fleshwing zombie's wings was already audible in the distance. Peng restoring Regent from his waist pouch and drank it down. It wasn't high quality, comparable perhaps to 21st century military stimulants, though it restored stamina while military stimulants provided a powerful stimulus. Fleshwing zombies were formidable in open areas, but within the confines of buildings, Peng could slay as many as came, and even if he drew in numerous subterranean zombies, he could use spear throwing to create distance and shake off most of them. Left shield, right axe. He casually slaughtered several subterranean zombies lunging at him before charging into the darkness. Midnight, the hunter returned to the large house. Tonight, we rest. Tomorrow morning, we break out of the ruined city. When a dust-covered Peng returned to the large house, Wang Lai and Dun Ningning were waiting in the hall, still awake. Peng, wary himself, offered a brief greeting and prepared to retire. However, Wang Lai's expression was unusual. You should go see Huang Ying first. She seems to be failing. The dark god suddenly parasitized her. Her condition is unlike ours, Dun Ningning added. When Peng reached Huang Ying's room, the girl was running a high fever. The parasitic heart had integrated into her body to a greater extent than in Dun Ningning, Wang Li or Yao Bail. If not for Peng's exceptional eyesight, he wouldn't have noticed the abnormally dark bluish tint to her skin at the neck. Huang Ying was radiating intense heat. The temperature in her small room was noticeably higher than in other rooms. This anomaly quickly led Peng to a conclusion. It's alright, this is a fire-type ability awakening. If she had triggered it herself, she might have spontaneously combusted. Since it was forcibly triggered and the parasitic heart is sharing the burden, she should wake up in a day or two. As he spoke, Peng flicked his wrist, and a light blue card appeared between his fingers. The parasitic heart card, whose total attributes had dropped to 25 points, had now plummeted to 20, 5 points of strength sacrificed. The parasitic heart had truly gone all out this time. 3 days later, with the roar of engines, an ugly bus encased in metal armor crashed through the iron gate of the underground parking lot and, amid the enthusiastic farewell of the entire city's zombie horde, sped towards the opening of a new chapter. Chapter Odu 6 Sunjane. Your destiny's your own choice. Scavengers in the desert. The speeding bus roared down the road, the scenery blurring past on either side. Peng, his hands gripping his emerald-encrusted longsword, stood on the roof of the vehicle, sword held aloft. While the King Kong's chassis had been repeatedly reinforced and weighted, it couldn't withstand too many zombies piling onto the roof. If too many accumulated, the center of gravity would shift, leading to a crash and likely fatalities. With the surge of the abyssal demon tide, the zombies in Ruin City had significantly increased in intelligence. They didn't just swarm the bus, flying zombies even directed the siege from above. However, after Peng shot down several of these arrogant air forces with heavy javelins, they dared not approach again. The flying zombies had gained intelligence, but excessive evolution seemed to have robbed them of the primal ferocity of their kind. Of course, only the more highly evolved zombie species possessed any self-preservation instinct. From the buildings lining the road, hundreds of zombies, driven by a hunger for flesh and a desperate yearning for evolution, jumped from the rooftops, no matter the height. They simply jumped. Most missed the bus, crashing to the ground with sickening thuds, splattering like bursting tomatoes, leaving a crimson trail. The few lucky enough to land on the bus were dispatched by Peng, the black-haired, eyed warrior. His bearing sharp and commanding, moved with the grace of a dancer, systematically sweeping the living and the dead, the mobile and the immobile, from the vehicle's roof. Wang Lai, play an upbeat song to boost the boss's spirits. Dun Ningning, holding a long steel bar, leaned half her body out of the bus window, fiercely striking at the zombie's legs. She lacked Peng's skill and couldn't stand on the speeding bus's roof, but neither could the zombies. Dun Ningning was half human, which significantly reduced the zombie's desire to attack her. Between swings of her steel bar, the girl, her long hair now tied in a neat ponytail, gave orders to the bus driver. Whether he actually understood her or simply mirrored Peng's intentions remained unclear. Wang Li, seeing the almost overwhelming horde of zombies surrounding them, didn't care if it was too flashy. He casually opened a nearby music box. A rousing melody filled the air, a swaying goblet of red wine, lips stained crimson. Such unusual beauty, an unforgivable sin. Peng's movements mirrored the dance of his long sword. Any zombie that dared to clamber onto the roof was instantly felled, cut down by the dark green glow of his magic blade. The flawless poison gemstone imbued in the sword rendered the zombies' poison resistance utterly useless. Those poisoned were kicked off the roof, their bodies instantly devoured by their compatriots, creating a chain reaction of toxic deaths. Who faithfully follows merely stepping on roses, a kiss offered in solace, pitiful, like restless music, teaching people how to sleep, an unknown perfume, the suffocating presence of a ghost, sharp stilettos, shattering countless hearts, a bro like a scimitar, guarding your secret garden. As the song Princess swelled, a surge of excitement coursed through the three passengers. Wang Lei slammed the gas pedal. Dun Ningning's muscles rippled beneath her clothes, and a faint crimson shimmer flickered in her eyes. Huang Ying, having recovered her strength after 3 days of rest, opened the front sunroof. Like Dun Ningning at the rear, she leaned out of the bus, but unlike her, she didn't rely solely on her strength and weapon. Huang Ying extended her left hand, pressing it against the front of the bus. A large expanse of dark green veins pulsed at her parasitized neck and shoulder, gathering intense energy that coalesced into a blazing orb of fire in the terrifying cavity of her palm. The next instant, a fiery projectile launched forth, the impact erupting with the explosive force of a rocket. Even the most promising fire-type ability users couldn't unleash such power immediately. They usually started with something as basic as lighting a cigarette to cultivate control. Huang Ying, with the Dark God accelerating her potential, skipped many stages of training. Her fire ability manifested fully formed, combined with the Demon Raw Bullet in a brutally simple and effective manner. Naturally, this severely limited her potential for future advancement. However, in this apocalyptic world, more than half of fire-type ability users would likely be dead before reaching her level. Among them were those whose qualities and potential far surpassed Huang Ying's. Sacrificing future potential to increase current survival rate, the gains and losses were impossible to calculate. The night is beautiful, however dangerous. Some always stay up with dark circles under their eyes. Love is beautiful, however dangerous. Willing to pay the price of 1,000 years' worth of tears. Pain is beautiful, however humble. Wanting to taste the flavor of being shattered to pieces. You are beautiful, however silent. I use piles of stones to isolate myself from the world, my princess. I will monopolize your beauty, master. There are 2 forks in the road ahead. Which way do we go? Hearing Wang Lei's shout, Peng cut a zombie in half at the waist, kicked its upper body off the car roof, and saw the 2 forks in the road at that moment. A faint blue light flickered deep within Peng's eyes, the power of the fate card. The right fork had a pale gold 22 invisible to others, while the left fork had a dark red 228 floating above it. 2 forks. 2 choices of destiny, luxurious comfort and bloody ill omen. Peng fell silent for a moment. Before Wang Lei could urge him a second time, he said softly, "Go left." "Yes, my master." Wang Lei sharply turned the steering wheel to the left. Peng's feet remained firmly planted on the car roof, while Huang Ying and Dun Ningning almost flew out of the car, their screams and curses filling the air. Wang Lei, focused on driving, ignored the commotion. Boom, boom, boom! A series of violent explosions. The roar of the engine running wild, accompanied by the rousing music of Princess, the King Kong roared through the city of ruins, coated in a thick layer of flesh. Thanks to Peng's previous attacks and some luck, they didn't encounter any elite or mutated mini-bosses. Otherwise, with their command and power, the King Kong would not have been able to escape so easily and rush into the sand-swept Loess Hills. This is a restorative potion. It'll make you feel better. Your power isn't something you trained for yourself. If you don't want to age and die early, use it sparingly. Climbing into the bus, he explained. The Loess Hills weren't devoid of monsters, but their density was far less exaggerated than the zombie hordes in the ruined city. Seeing Huang Ying's pale face, and remembering how she had almost continuously unleashed fireballs to clear the way for the King Kong, Peng frowned slightly. "Thank you, master, it was exhilarating. I never thought I'd become a paranormal, and such a powerful one at that. The feeling of wielding power is wonderful, especially in the apocalypse. Suddenly possessing powers that weren't originally mine." Huang Ying was a completely different person from the tear-streaked figure who'd stared at herself in the mirror just 2 days prior. Now, gazing at the hole in her left palm, she found it oddly pleasing. Her inherent potential for psionic abilities meant that Peng's parasitic heart merely triggered and channeled that power, unleashing it in the form of the demonic raw projectile. Therefore, her energy expenditure was far less than a normal host. Normal hosts pay for the power with their lifespan, but Huang Ying had a foundation of latent psionic potential. If she consciously conserved her energy, she might be able to draw on the parasitic heart's power at the cost of only a small amount of her lifespan. However, seeing her current state of obsession, Peng knew he had another Yao Bale on his hands. If he didn't retrieve the parasitic heart soon, Huang Ying would be drained dry in no time. After a day and a night on the bus, Peng and his companions encountered a group of carrion eaters from the Abyss City in the Loess Hills. They were escorting a group of young men and women recently purchased from Nanjing, heading back on their return journey. This episode is complete. Welcome to subscribe, turn on the small bell forward, please leave your comments. I will continue to update the content behind.